The North American trade landscape was shaken to its core on February 1, 2025, as the United States, led by the Trump administration, announced the imposition of sweeping tariffs on imports from its neighbors, Canada and Mexico. This decision, effective February 4th, levied a hefty 25% tariff on a wide range of goods entering the U.S. from both countries. Additionally, a 10% tariff was imposed on goods from China, signaling a broadening of trade tensions. The administration cited the influx of migrants and drugs across the U.S.-Mexico border as the primary justification for this aggressive move. President Trump, in his address, labeled the situation a major threat to national security, a claim disputed by many critics who questioned the link between trade and immigration. The tariffs sent shockwaves through the global economy, raising concerns of a full-blown trade war. Economists and businesses alike expressed anxieties about the potential consequences, predicting a rise in prices for consumers and disruptions to established supply chains. The decision marked a significant departure from decades of free trade policies and threatened to unravel the tightly knit economic ties within North America. The response from Canada and Mexico to the U.S. tariffs was swift and resolute. Canada retaliated with equivalent tariffs on 155 billion Canadian dollars, or 107 billion US dollars, worth of US goods. These retaliatory tariffs targeted a diverse range of products including consumer goods like beer, wine, clothing and appliances, as well as industrial materials such as lumber and plastics. Mexico, while not specifying the exact scale and scope of its response, announced its intention to impose retaliatory tariffs on a range of US imports. The Mexican government, while condemning the U.S. tariffs, expressed its willingness to engage in dialogue to find a mutually agreeable solution. China, although subject to a lower tariff rate, remained silent on its course of action. However, analysts predicted a calculated response, potentially targeting specific U.S. industries or products as a means of applying pressure. The escalating trade war threatened to disrupt the intricate web of trade relationships that had defined the North American economy for decades. Businesses on all sides of the borders braced for the impact, facing uncertainty and the prospect of significant economic repercussions. The trade war's impact reverberated throughout various sectors of the North American economy, with car makers, food producers, and the construction industry bearing the brunt of the tariffs. The interconnected nature of these industries, heavily reliant on cross-border supply chains, magnified the effects of the trade dispute. The automotive industry in particular found itself in a precarious position. With manufacturing operations spread across the US, Canada, and Mexico, automakers faced disruptions to their supply chains and increased costs. The tariffs on imported parts and finished vehicles threatened to raise prices for consumers, potentially dampening demand and impacting sales. Food producers, heavily reliant on cross-border trade in agricultural products, also faced significant challenges. The tariffs on agricultural goods, including fruits, vegetables, and meat, threatened to disrupt the flow of these products between the three countries. Consumers faced the prospect of higher prices for essential food items, potentially impacting household budgets and consumption patterns. The construction industry, already grappling with rising material costs, felt the added pressure of tariffs on lumber, cement, and other building materials. The increased costs threatened to impact ongoing construction projects, potentially leading to delays and increased expenses for builders and developers. The 2025 North American trade war, while unprecedented in its scale and scope, was not an isolated event. It marked another chapter in the long and tumultuous history of trade disputes between the US, Canada, and Mexico. From disagreements over lumber and softwood to conflicts over agricultural subsidies, the path of North American trade has been paved with both cooperation and contention. The Trump administration's decision to invoke the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977, or IEEPA, to impose the tariffs was met with criticism and legal challenges. Critics argued that the use of IEEPA, a law designed for national emergencies, was a legally dubious move, setting a dangerous precedent for future trade disputes. The trade war's long-term consequences remained uncertain, with businesses and consumers alike bracing for the potential fallout. The dispute underscored the delicate balance between economic integration and national interests, highlighting the complexities and challenges of managing trade relations in an increasingly interconnected world.